Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show. Welcome to another week of race talk and whatever else we end up talking about. Hope everybody had a good week. I know Kevin Basic, Long Island Need for Speed, was up at the Orange County Fair Speedway up at Middletown, New York. And I want to thank Tim Pitts, their announcer, for standing in for me for the interviews that were done in the garage area. Tim does a nice job. Tim, the announcer at the Orange County Fair Speedway, also known as the House of Power. Tim will be talking to us later on in the show via telephone, and we'll talk about all his years in racing. We just recently interviewed him, beginning of the season actually, and we had some video on that. But Tim will be calling in later. So anyway, tough week of racing. IndyCar driver Justin Wilson suffered a severe head injury at Pocono Raceway when he was hit in the head with debris from Sage Karam's car after Karam's crashed. And I watched the video. I watched it like in ultra slow motion. The pieces were flying through the air, and there he was. Bam! It hit him right in the head, and he's got some head trauma going on there. But for those of you who do not like or care for Tony Stewart, still want to blame him for some of the stuff that went on with that other situation. Tony Stewart lent his private jet to Justin Wilson's family to get to Pocono Raceway or get to the hospital, which is in Allentown, PA. They live in Colorado, and they needed to get there, and Tony Stewart stepped up and made it happen. And I'll tell you what, those are the things that go unnoticed. I mean, with social media today, it gets kind of blown up and all that, but you know, he didn't do it because he wanted a pat on the back. He didn't do it for the fanfare. Tony Stewart did that because that's the type of guy Tony Stewart is. He lent his private jet. And I'll tell you what, it's not cheap. That jet wasn't sitting out in Colorado. That jet was sitting down in North Carolina somewhere. And he had to get it to Colorado, get them on, and fly them and land in Pennsylvania and get the family to the hospital in Allentown, PA. So again, I'm going to give a hats off to Tony Stewart for making that gesture. And also prayers go out to Justin Wilson and his family. And hopefully we have a speedy recovery here. The last update, he was still in critical condition there. So it's racing. It's just one of those things. And this past, I guess, last Sunday, not yesterday, but last Sunday, that injury stuff hit home a little bit when my daughter Erin was racing in a WKA event here on Long Island, and Erin was in a wreck with another competitor. Erin dislocated bones in her foot and broke her lower back. Spent, I guess it was 4 days in the hospital, and she's home recuperating. She's unable to go to work. My daughter Erin is a gymnastics coach, running a gymnastics school and the head varsity coach at St. John the Baptist High School here on Long Island. So she's going to be a little under the weather for a little while. But she's a tough competitor. It's not that it's funny, but it's funny as she was laying here waiting surgery. The question was asked if she was going to go back racing again. And my daughter Erin, in true Larson family style, said, "Ask me tomorrow." Well, tomorrow came and we asked, and she hasn't. So I don't see why not. Let's get it fixed and go back racing. But my hats are off to the EMTs, the Suffolk County PD and the Riverhead Ambulance Squad for the quick response. Erin, as many of you may or may not know, was airlifted from the racetrack and taken to the trauma center at Stony Brook, where they performed the surgery to get the bones back in her foot and back in place. So. And I'll tell you, 22 figure eight. I was standing in turn 4 on the wall where those pit fence grabbers, as they call us, were watching, and the wreck happened right there in turn 4, and I saw it coming. When you've been around racing for as long as we have, you see these things coming. And just to kind of explain what went on here. A car up ahead, Hannah, and I believe her last name was Haig. I'm not really 100% sure, but I believe that's what it is. Spun coming out of turn 4, and Erin was in the pack of 3 cars, actually in the draft, Champ Kart's draft at this racetrack on Long Island, and they're turning lap times in the high 14s, so that's moving, and they're tiny little things, they're lightweight, and this car spun. It was sitting sideways at the, I guess the start line, not the start finish line, but the turn 4 you could go line. And everyone was in a pack of 3. She was the third car in a draft, and the lead guy went this way, the second place guy went this way, and there she was. And then she couldn't avoid it, just hit it, big time. And you heard the thud, the car went up and came down, and and I knew it wasn't good. But again, my hat's off there, Ray, and the biggest, there's 2 people I really have to thank, and one is Linda Solomino, who made sure the paperwork was done right and kept me updated, gave me information and how it all works, and a big thanks to Andrew Biondolillo, who sat there holding my daughter's foot with blood dripping out of it, and trying to keep pressure on it to stop that. And by putting pressure on it, also took the pain away, believe it or not, and talking her through this. I know I was in no, I'll say, position to do that. So I want to thank him. And not only did he do that, he made sure all the equipment, that the trailer was loaded and the truck and all that good stuff, and everything went back to the shop. So, and then he was, as soon as he did that, he sat with us in the emergency room in the trauma center waiting. And so thank you to everybody. If I missed anybody, I mean, I tried to do a general thing, but it was a tough day. It was a tough day. And thus that's why there was no show last week. I just had some family stuff to take care of. So scary scene, as 22 Figure 8 says. And speaking of 22 Figure 8, last show that we had, if you were one of the folks who won a T-shirt, just message me or call me if you have my number and let me know where to send it. I have them on my desk at home and need to get you out. And I have some more shirts to give away. We'll have a nice little raffle thing again. And like with any other winning prize on my show, if you've recently won, give somebody else an opportunity. So that's all good. But again, prayers to IndyCar driver Justin Wilson for recovery, and the prayers to my daughter for quick recovery as well, so she can get back coaching her teams and get back in that champ car and go racing. So a lot of people think we're crazy, but that's what we do. We go racing, and we know in our family what it's like to be injured in a race car, and you don't walk away. It's like falling off a horse. You get right back on. Get right back on. Anyway, Danica Patrick who has appeared in 13 Super Bowl commercials. I didn't know that until I read that. Has signed a new sponsor, secured a new sponsor, Nature's Bakery. Not exactly a household name, but Nature's Bakery for 28 races in 2016. GoDaddy.com in her parting ways. Because GoDaddy.com has elected not to return for another multi-year deal. And that's what happens with these sponsorship deals. A lot of folks don't understand this. It doesn't pay to sign for 1 year. I mean, does that happen? Absolutely. Here we are, Nature's Bakery signing for only 28 of the 36 races. But, and this is their first step in. But you want to do a long-term deal, and here's why, and this is just my opinion as a marketing guy. You're going to make die casts, you're going to make shirts and hats and jackets and all kinds of stuff to sell. And you don't want to put all this money into this to do it for 1 year. You're hoping that it's a multi-year deal, and you're hoping that you get to the success that you're looking to achieve. And, 1 year deal is kind of tough, It's a get to know you thing. It's like a courtship. You get to know the person, then you spend a lot more time with the person, and next thing you know, you're kind of like married, you're together. And long-term sponsors. You look at some of the long-term sponsors in NASCAR over the years, and STP and Richard Petty. I mean, STP and Richard Petty were synonymous. Mark Martin back when he had Valvoline. The Woods brothers, Purolator. You go back, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Goodwrench. Those are long-term. Jeff Gordon, DuPont. Now, Jimmy Johnson with Lowe's. It's a long-term thing, and that's what you want to do. That's I always talk on the show about return on investment on your sponsorship dollar. And I know through the UPS deal, and I know a lot of the inside about that. And initially I think it was like $16 million a year when they signed on. with Robert Yates and Dale Jarrett became the driver. UPS became the official express shipping company of NASCAR. So everybody who shipped an overnight letter or small packages, penalty notices, they used to come FedEx. Now it was all coming UPS. Now think about all the licenses that go out to all the tracks and all the competitors across North America. And they come from, they're mailed from Daytona. And that UPS made a lot of money on that. But UPS also made 30% on the merchandise. So you just don't pay the money and you walk away and your name's on the card. There's a lot more involved with that. So, when you look at a sponsorship deal, that first year you spend a lot of money making it happen. And that second year you start seeing the return. And again, that's one of the things weekly racers kind of don't understand. And they don't understand that there's a return on that sponsorship dollar. It just irks me sometimes when I see in social media, oh, sponsor my car, I need tires to race, or sponsor my car, I need to feed my guys. And I see these statements, and I always, send a little private message to that person, what's in it for the sponsor? And 9 times out of 10, I don't get a response. I call it the WIFM, what's in it for me? If my company sponsors you, what do I get? It's not that and especially in today's economy, there's not a lot of money out there. It's not like years ago, where you had to get rid of cash, or if you didn't spend it, the government was going to take it in taxes. So what's in it for me? What do I get out of sponsoring your race car other than my company name or logo is on your quarter panel, on your hood, on your trunk deck? There's more to it than that. There's more to it than that. And that's why, when you look at certain teams, they've had the same sponsors over the years in the weekly series, the same sponsors year after year keep coming back. Why is that? Well, some of it is personal relationship, but some of it is what they've done for that sponsor and help them grow their business. So, and then you see the people who every year they have new sponsorship. Hey, that's great, you can get a new one, but why couldn't you keep the old one? It's one of the things. And I've been lucky enough to have a sponsor who's, no matter what I've ever been or owned, driven or owned, been with me. It was initially Inline Chiropractic, which became DAC Medical, DAC Medical. And while I'm talking about that, Dr. Michael Kirschbaum, who was the founder of Inline Chiropractic, stepping down and selling off the practice to Dr. Don Chiappetta, who went on to change it to DAC Medical. Doctors About Care. And they've been longtime sponsors since 1994 on anything that I've ever, like I said, driven or owned, and even helped a few of my friends. So Dr. Michael Kirschbaum went into hospice. He has esophageal cancer. An old friend of mine I knew from high school. And so, there's one of my old sponsors. Prayers to Michael, Dr. Mike, as we used to call him, still call him. Prayers to Dr. Mike, as obviously he's in the last weeks of his life. A young guy, not even 50 years old. So anyway, with that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some good stuff when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Richard Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, real quick, the IndyCar finished at Pocono, where that tragic crash happened and injury. Was Ryan Hunter-Reay was the winner, with Joseph Newgarden second, Juan Pablo Montoya third, Will Power fourth, and Carlos Munoz fifth. Helio Castroneves was the pole sitter for that race. The points as they stand in IndyCar is Montoya is the leader, Graham Rahal is second, Scott Dixon is third. Formula One was in Belgium. I always say, these guys traveling all over the world, the logistics of that has just got to be incredible. Lewis Hamilton was the winner. Nico Rosberg was second. Romain Grosjean was third. Daniel Kvyat was fourth. And Sergio Perez rounding out the top five. The point leaders right now, it's Lewis Hamilton is the point leader with Nico Rosberg second, Sebastian Vettel third in the points. Let's see what you got here. Orange County Fair. Kevin Basic and the Long Island Need for Speed crew, as well as the 505 on racing folks, were up there. A gorgeous day. They just rebuilt the place and just did some capital improvements. They had started it the last time I was there. New roof, new fencing, it really looked nice from the video that I watched on the way out here, in fact. But Orange County Fair Speedway has become one of our partners at the 505 on Racing Show, proudly hanging our banner, the InRavio.com banner, at their facility. They're just good people there. And, so we're going to have Tim Pitts. We're going to reach out for him. Actually, he's going to reach out for us in the second half of the show. But anyway, going out to look at the way that went, the Sportsman feature went to Randy Sweetman. The small block modified feature winner was Gary Edwards Jr. We had the rookie sportsman was Allison Ritchie. The street stocks was won by Jimmy Mayer. And the URC sprint cars would put on an awesome show. The winner was Justin Berger. That was the results from the Orange County Fair Speedway. The legendary House of Power, as they refer to it. Let's see, we got Wall Stadium down in Wall, New Jersey. Jimmy Blewett took the modified feature there. Another place that is very, very good to us. In fact, the Green Flag Racing experience. All I have to do is walk into the garage area and ask me if I have my stuff, and they give me an opportunity to hop in something that they have there. I've been having fun with TQs there, and I want to thank Gary and his staff for allowing me to do that. It's an awesome time. If you're a racer and you've never raced at that wall, take a trip down there, because I'll tell you, you're coming down the front stretch, and I gotta explain this, to you. You're coming down the front stretch and you see that banking, and they tell me it's 33 degrees, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like that, but it looks like that when you're going down the straightaway and you see in front of you, it looks like this, and you're like, then you get to it and you get down low and you kind of come up, and you don't feel the coming up, but when you go into turn 3 and you come down to the inside groove there, it's like being on a roller coaster. Your stomach goes up and down. It feels like your insides do this, but your body is like planted. But again, Wall Township Speedway, Bill Krause and his staff, very good to us there. With my team, Kevin Basic and myself and whoever we happen to drag along with us. So that's always a good thing. Let's see. Valenti Modified Racing Series was at Monadnock Speedway on the 22nd. That was race number 11 for them. They had 26 cars show up. Unofficial order of business finish is they don't make it official till the middle of the week. Hinckley was the winner, Pat Note second, Hersey third, Pitcat fourth, Zegedy fifth, Pasturak sixth, Schneider seventh, Meade eighth, and Roman Pennick ninth, and Medeiros rounded out the top 10. I had gone to the New London Waterford Speedbowl and watched the Valenti Modified Series, and I'm going to tell you what, it was good, hard, clean racing. Don't necessarily agree with some of the decisions and officiating rules they have. They kind of, in my opinion, took some of the race away from the racer, but then again, you get caught up into a paradigm. For those who know what a paradigm is, it's you do it that way because you always did it that way. And maybe you don't need to bump and grind. Maybe you don't need to Nerf bar people and push and shove. And I don't mean take them out, put them in the wall, but you're here and that guy's there and you're coming into the corner and you got to kind of nudge up. In my opinion, nudge up and then that's going to get them to slow. They're taking the long way around and hopefully now you're side by side. And somebody once told me years ago, when you pass a race car, you pass them a little at a time, rear quarter, door, even. You got there at your corner and you go, and it might take a couple of laps sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, you can go blast them right by. And some will actually, I've been behind guys and they've done that, go to the outside, and and you go and you hope they're not going to put you in the fence. There's a lot of guys I raced against would love to put me in the fence because I probably put them in the fence already, not on purpose. I wasn't good enough to put people in the fence on purpose, but I put people in the fence. A lot of people weren't happy with me, but. It's looking back, it was all good. It was all good, But anyway, that's what we had. That's just what it was. And good time with my guys up at the Orange County Fair Speedway. Sorry, I missed it. I had some other things to take care of. It's been a crazy week, as you could imagine. Anyway, announced today, which I was surprised but not surprised. Announced today, Anheuser-Busch's Busch beer brand will be the primary sponsor on a NASCAR race car in 2016 instead of Budweiser. Busch will be the primary sponsor of the Stewart-Haas Racing's number 4, driven by Kevin Harvick. So Busch is back. Now, I was at breakfast with an individual this past Sunday, and we were talking some stuff, and rumor has it, and don't take this to the bank, I haven't confirmed it, but rumor has it that 2016 will be Sprint's last year as NASCAR's top series title sponsor. I believe their deal runs out and they're not going to renew. Now, Sprint has been with NASCAR for quite some time, although it was originally Nextel when it came in, and then Sprint bought out Nextel and they bought that deal with them. It was a long ride. A lot of people, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Sprint thing, with the Nextel deal, started in 2002. I'm not positive about that. If WJ was on, he'd be able to tell us what WJ is. Mondays sometimes aren't a good day for WJ, and again, keep WJ in your prayers. Longtime supporter of this show, very good friend of mine. One of my biggest critics and one of my biggest supporters at the same time. There's good days and bad days. Right now, most of the good days are good. There's more good than bad. How's that? That's what I wanted to say. So, anyway, for him to not be on this show tonight, he is not feeling well. So keep WJ in your prayers with that. And what else we got going on? It was announced officially that Eddie and Connie Partridge have purchased Riverhead Raceway in Long Island from Barbara and Jim Cromany. It was 2 Saturdays ago. I happened to be there. It was the official passing of the keys to the place. And Barbara and Jim Cromany will remain as track operators for the conclusion of the season, celebrating 65 years of Riverhead Raceway. And then once the last race ends and the parties and the trophies are all handed out at that last night, Barbara and Jim will get into their Riverhead Raceway pace car for the last time and head home and enjoy retirement. Eddie and Connie Partridge, local Long Island people. Eddie has a business here. He has a team on the NASCAR Wheel and Modify Tour, and his wife is the Hoosier Tire distributor at the racetrack. It's good to see race people buying the racetrack with the guarantee that that place will remain a racetrack and hopefully for many, many years to come. Eddie's got some young blood going in. I believe his nephew is going to be running the place for him. And that's all good. And I know all of this was probably in the newspapers, but having been going to Riverhead Raceway probably close to 45 years for the first time, going with my grandfather sitting in the stands. And I remember taking the ride out. It was such a long ride, but I remember sitting there and as a kid, I was maybe 12 years old. And my little brother Mikey came too. And I don't know why my other brother, but my brother Mikey came too. And there's a clown walking around the grandstands, blowing up balloons and getting into the kids and stuff. But anyway, Eddie and Connie Partridge, taking over Riverhead Raceway. So, which means it's, I guess, a little new life with the 505 on Racing Show and Riverhead Raceway. Having had a good relationship with Eddie over the years, back when I was chief steward at Riverhead Raceway, and Eddie had come back to racing. Eddie's been around racing most of his life, having been on the Charlie Jazombek's crew years ago, and been around the weekly series, SKs, touring. Good guy, very soft-spoken guy, businessman. And you know what? You need a person to buy a racetrack, whether it be Riverhead Raceway or in the case of Waterford Speedboat, now the New London Waterford Speedboat, any racetrack that your person, it should be purchased by a businessman who runs a business, who is not counting on the revenue from that racetrack to support him and his family all year long. And Eddie has that. Eddie is a very successful businessman operating TS Haulers out of Calverton, Long Island. And like I said, a racing person with a racing brain, a racing head, and a racing heart. And that's what it's all about. And Eddie knows what it's going to take to bring that place back, that Riverhead Raceway, back to the facility it once was back in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s when the place was packed and it was good, solid racing. And the pits were filled with cars, and it is just so much that he just could turn one little thing around. And Mark Arute, the president of Stafford Motor Speedway, said to me one day, he said, cars in the pit area equal fannies in the seats. And no truer words have ever been spoken, because the car counts here in Long Island are quite low, and so are the people sitting in the seats. There's not a lot of people sitting in the seats. Yeah, you get a circus act or a school bus demo or something to that effect, that you'll see a lot of people. But for the most part, race fans want to see racing. And I am confident that Eddie's going to bring racing back to Long Island and to the grandeur that it once was, and his 22 figure eights. And they talked about eventually doing something in Calverton, and that land is still barren. From my understanding of the Calverton site, and I haven't spoken to Eddie about this in quite some time, but Eddie started, to put a track there. Not that he laid pavement down, but everything was, the plans were in, and he dug the hole out, and it was going to be, if I'm not mistaken, a 3/8 mile racetrack. And that's not to say down the road that Calverton Motor Speedway will not exist. I think it will. Can you operate 2 racetracks within a couple of miles of each other? I believe they could. And one of the things that I said back then is you have one run on Friday, one run on Saturday, and then what you do is you have Yeah, I have like the Long Island Championship. Now you're kind of forcing both teams to, both cars or both racetracks to race at both places. It's a good way to go. So I'm looking forward to it. I am so excited about 2016 here on Long Island Racing. And let's step back and wait and see what happens. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about Bristol and Michael Waltrip. And hopefully we get a hold of Tim Pitts from the Orange County Fair Speedway. And he gets a hold of us, and we'll be talking racing when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Enravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Enravio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the. But if you have this bracelet from Enravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. We are back. I believe we have Tim Pitts, announcer at the Orange County Fair Speedway, the legendary House of Power. Tim, we got you?
Yeah, how we doing?
We're doing really good, really good. I want to thank you for standing in for me with the interviews this past Saturday with Kevin Basic, Long Island Need for Speed, 505 on. I want to thank you.
Yeah, Kevin's an old friend. We first met up with him a couple of years back when him and his brother were into vintage car racing and stuff. So we know the Kevin name and the Kevin quality for quite some time.
Now, Tim, you've been doing this for a long time. Tell us how long you've been involved announcing the races at Orange County.
Well, at Orange County alone, I've been. This is my 28th season over a 30-year span at Orange County. I became an announcer about 35, 36 years ago overall.
So it was like in the early 80s.
Yeah, it was right around the mid-'80s. My first year at Orange County was '86. Began announcing right when I was still in high school. Actually, my very first track was what was now called Mountain Speedway. It used to be called Evergreen Speedway. Really cool little third of a mile asphalt track. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with.
Now, Tim, you've been around a long time, like I have as well. What do you see has changed the most from when you first walked through the gates until like this past week when you left for the night? What is different?
Well, as far as Orange County is concerned, I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference. Orange County went through that era too, where every racetrack is suffering to reach out and put fans in the stands. There's no two ways about that. The neat part about right now is Orange County really is not at a loss for car counts. Where a lot of your local Saturday night tracks are really hurting for car counts, Orange County is not. They've got their 2, 3, 4 generations of family members that have been racing up there, year in, year out. So the car count has been really consistent. As far as the physical appearance of the speedway is concerned, yeah, we're on the upside swing. I mean, you said yourself, you saw the new roof put on the grandstand. The old gal's quite a few years old. We got a new skin on the roof there for her. They're putting new fencing all around the track, updating with a lot of new paint and stuff like that. When clay needs to be put on the track, they put it on the track. So they keep up with it. They really do.
Well, and I'll tell you, my first trip to Orange County Fair Speedway was back in 1977 for the Eastern States 200. Looking forward to going in 2015 as well. That's a big weekend for you guys. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Eastern States is probably the oldest continuing multi-day race in probably anywhere in the world, actually. I mean, we're in our 66th year of continuous Saturday night racing. The track itself has been around for 96 years, but Eastern States, I always compare it, I always say it's a mini Super Dirt Week. Okay, it's like a mini Super Dirt weekend. People that can't afford maybe to take off 4, 5, 6 days to go to Syracuse, we have a mini Syracuse right there in Middletown at the end of October every year. So guys don't have to take off 4 or 5 days, don't have to travel, don't have to worry about, a lot of motel expenses, stuff like that. They can come down and enjoy the same camaraderie, basically the same group of drivers, for a lot less money, a lot less exertion on their behalf, and just have a great, great weekend. It is just a phenomenal weekend from Friday morning until Sunday night.
And I'll tell you, like I said, I've attended that event, and for those of you out there that have never gone to the Eastern States 200, put it on your calendar and make the trip up. From Long Island, it's not that far. From New England, it's not that far. From the whole Northeast, it's a close way to go. And Tim, let us, what are the dates of that event?
I don't have the schedule in front of me. It's usually the third weekend in October, so around the 24th, 5th, 6th, something in that line right there.
Yeah, I remember it was always before Halloween.
Yes, typically the weekend before Halloween. It's typically, historically, it's always 2 weekends after Syracuse. There's usually a 1-week break, and then we come on board with our big show.
Now, Tim, one of the things that's unique from your racetrack, where you announce, and from many of the tracks that I've been to, is you have that area in the backstretch, which is, I believe, commonly referred to as the drive-in. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're one of the few racetracks probably in the world that have as big of a backstretch drive-in area as Orange County has. It resembles a drive-in movie theater. It's probably about, I'd say about 5 acres of land that's stepped off and terraced. So you pull in, no matter where you park in that backstretch drive-in, whether you're down low or you're up on the top of the hill, you're going to be able to see the racetrack real good all night long. There's concessions over there. You can tune in the PA announcements on your car radio. So if it's a little chilly out, get inside, turn the heater on. If it's hot outside, get in, turn the air conditioning on. Neat part about that is if you have a family, if you have some young ones and stuff like that, that they're going to get a little antsy sitting in the grandstand all night, you can put them in the back seat, give them a couple of matchboxes. They got their own little world going on back there. If they fall asleep before the end of the race, so be it. They're comfy, they're happy, and the whole family's just having a really cool time together in a unique atmosphere. I call it the world's biggest tailgate party. That doesn't end at kickoff. It goes right through to the end of the checkered flag. So
Without a doubt. And it's funny, you made a reference to family, and family in racing is big because your fans of tomorrow are the little kids playing with their Matchbox cars in the clay and in the sand of today. And I'm sure with the amount of time that you spent at Orange County Fair Speedway and other racetracks as well, such as you've probably seen second and third generation drivers come through the gates there.
Oh, more than once. I mean, right now, we've got probably a half a dozen second-generation drivers. We've got third-generation drivers in the Speedway. Saturday night, Allison Rickey, 20-year-old girl, won her 5th feature of the 2015 season, second at Orange County, third at Accord. There's a third-generation driver. Her grandfather, Rich Rickey Sr., started the Rickey name in racing back in the 60s at the Speedway. Her father, Rich, and uncle, Mike, brought the Rickey name back to the Speedway in the 80s and 90s, and now, here again, 3 generations later, 20-year-old Allison Rickey's a sportsman and literally just kicking butt at that track, second win this year, and a phenomenal win. I mean, she's a strong driver. So when you see, not only a young girl come on board, but know that the 3 generations of history right there in that family alone, that speaks volumes about what that track itself is all about.
Oh, without a doubt. And the few times I've been there this year, I feel like I'm going to my second cousin's house, who I haven't seen in such a long time, and I walk in there and I feel like I'm part of the family.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, it is truly family. We have people there that have been in the very same seat every Saturday night, going on 40 and 50 years. We have a couple that comes up there. They celebrated last year. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary at the Speedway, and 50 years ago, on the very same date, to the very same day and date, when they got married, they actually left their wedding early that night, left the reception early, came to the racetrack on their wedding night. 50 years later, they're still there every Saturday night.
And that's what it's all about. And and I know my dad, when he passed away, one of the last things we talked about, and he said, son, he goes, I think I missed the boat on this racing thing. He goes, that was an opportunity for a family outing, and I missed it. And it gives me chills just thinking about when he said that, because it is family. When you go racing, it's family, and you might fight like hell and argue, kick and scream, but when you're at the racetrack and one person needs something, another person needs something, you all work together, even the guys that aren't in your immediate family, because they want to beat you on the racetrack, not in the garage area. And no true words are spoken, because I've seen that at your place all the time.
Oh, yeah, we had that happen in the pit area. And I said that again on Saturday night to the one driver. When the green flag drops, it's every man, every woman for himself out there. No two ways about it, for herself. But if somebody needs help all of a sudden, more than once you'll watch a car pull into a pit area, a pit stall during a race, need help all of a sudden. And there are drivers and crew members coming from all around the pit stalls, coming to help that driver.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's what it's all about. And I'll tell you what, I've been involved in this racing for over 40 years. And you've been around for a long time as well. I know you have vintage cars that you play with a little bit. We keep the sport alive. We keep the spirit of racing alive in what we do, whether we do it from an announcer's booth, from a studio, or from some garage. We all have our little part to do in racing.
And the neat part about it is it's affordable. I mean, you could have a family that really can afford to come out to racing every Saturday night at Orange County. It's not like pro ball, pro football, pro basketball, pro baseball, where you can't afford to take a family every week to the big game. It costs you an arm and a leg just to park the car and get into the arena. And here, yes, it's still affordable. I mean, it's free parking. Come on in. The food's affordable. The admission's not tremendously overpriced. So it is something that, as a family, you can attend on a weekly basis. And those kids are going to grow up there at that racetrack. And who knows, when they can finally afford maybe to field the car themselves, they're going to be out there in that speedway.
That's it. And how many guys and gals, their first date as a couple is at their local racetrack?
Yeah, that's interesting. We have a driver this year, and God bless him, he had a really bad accident a week or two ago. He looked me straight in the face in the pit area one night, and I'll hold back his name. He's from Jersey. Great guy. I mean, he gives it his all. And he looked at me, he goes, dude, this is my racetrack. I'm like, I'm glad you feel that way. Welcome to the family. He goes, no. He goes, 47 years ago, I was conceived in the backstretch driving. He goes, so this is my racetrack. I mean,
and you know what's funny?
Hey, that's pretty cool, okay?
I know who you're talking about.
You don't hear that too often now, do you?
No, you don't. Oh, Tim, I want to thank you for your time and taking time out of your schedule to give us a call and talk some racing. Wishing you guys continued success. We'll see you guys soon. And again, thank you so much for standing in and doing some interviews for me this past Saturday night.
You're certainly welcome, and you're welcome back to the family anytime. We're there every Saturday night.
Thanks, Tim. Tim Pitts, Orange County Fair Speedway, the legendary House of Power. When we come back, we'll be talking about Bristol when we come back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with InRavio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit him up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, welcome back. I want to thank Tim Fitz for taking time to talk to us. Great guy. You know, it's funny when I go up there, he has to come and announce his booth. I do a little chatting on the phone, a little announcing, and it's all fun. It's all fun. Hey, before I forget, this Sunday at the Himes Museum of Nostalgia, Marty Himes, his birthday celebration, but he makes that not about his birthday, but about a driver's reunion, and drivers show up that raced in the 50s and the 60s, the 70s, 80s, and it's just a great day. So if you have nothing to do, and if you do have something to do, take a trip to Marty's on Sunday and check it out. It's not the day that you would want to go and see the museum, because you're not going to get a personal tour that day. But you know what? Go there, show your face, wish Marty a happy birthday, meet and greet with some of the old-time drivers, and then you know what you got, Marty? Make an appointment with him to come out and see it one-on-one. He will take you through that place and show you stuff and talk stuff and whatever you want to see and do, it's there. Take the time to do it. I was just talking to Marty a couple of weeks ago, and he says, you know, other than that day, a lot of people don't come out to the museum, but you know what? You go there, you can't do it all in a day. You got to be focused. You got to decide, what do I want to see this time? I've probably been there about 10 times, and that's all in the last like 3 or 4 years maybe. And I'll tell you what, there's stuff there that I just cannot believe that he has. And you know, you could name a driver, just out off the top of your head, you name a driver, and Marty go, I'll be right back. And within minutes, he has something from that driver in his museum. Whether it's a picture, a fire suit, a helmet, goggles, gloves, something. So take the trip to Marty Himes, Himes Museum of Nostalgia over in Bayshore. I believe it's on O'Neill Place there, right off of the Brentwood Road. So, and it's not that far of a trip for you, my fans up in Connecticut, all my fans in New Jersey. You're gonna love it. You're gonna have a good time. So I want to see it happen. I really do. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway. Quick trivia contest question, and I have a feeling nobody's going to get this one. Again, I have one more T-shirt from the New London Waterford Speed Bowl, the Wings and Wings event that I was at a couple of weeks ago with Kevin Basic. I guess it's more than a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. So here's the question. We all know Richmond International Speedway down in Richmond, Virginia, is no longer on the circuit. Started out as a dirt track. A lot of people didn't realize that. You know, sprint cars or sprint cup cars back then called 60s and 50s and whatnot, and just stock cars back when they first came out. But Richmond was a dirt track. Who could tell me what year it was paved? Person in the chat room with that answer will get that T-shirt. We'll get that T-shirt. The first year it was paved. Anyway, what do we got here? What do we got going? All right, Bristol. Bristol, one of my favorite racetracks to watch a race at. One of my favorite tracks to work when I was an official. I worked pit road there for the modifieds, of course, but also for the Camping World Truck Series. And I had like the second pit stall on the backstretch. And I was so nervous I was going to get run over because, coming off of that turn there, going off that corner. And I'm saying, if one of these trucks loses it, man, oh man, I don't move as quick as I used to. But and then as a fan going, sitting high atop turn 2 with the late Ricky Miller, writer for the Gator Racing News, and went there a few times with Ricky. Had some good times there. But Bristol Motor Speedway. Anyway, the Camp World Truck Series was there this weekend. Actually, they were there Wednesday in conjunction with the modifieds. The modified race there won by, I believe, Ryan Preece. Let's see, Camp World Truck Series. Ryan Blaney was the winner. Kyle Busch was second from the pole. John Hunter Nemechek third. Daniel Hemrick fourth. Brandon Jones fifth. Eric Jones was sixth. Matt Crafton seventh. Tyler Reddick eighth. Johnny Sorter ninth. And Dalton Sargent, was rounded out the top 10. The Xfinity series was there as well. And the next race, they'll be headed to Road America. Kyle Busch was the winner with Kyle Larson second. Denny Hamlin finished third from the pole. Ty Dillon was fourth. Daniel Suarez was fifth. Brian Scott sixth. Chase Elliott seventh. Kevin Harvick was eighth. Reagan Smith ninth. Rounding out the top 10, Brendan Gaughan. So that's what the Xfinity folks did. The Sprint Cup Series. Joe Logano was the winner. Kevin Harvick was second. Denny Hamlin third from the pole. Jimmy Johnson was fourth, followed by Clint Boyer in fifth. Brad Keselowski sixth. Carl Edwards seventh. Kyle Busch eighth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. ninth. And Ryan Newman rounding out the top 10. Sprint Cup Series next event will be at Darlington. Darlington, another tough place to race. Never been there. It's on my list of tracks that I want to go to. Darlington. What do we got? Speedway Motorsports. Founder and Speedway Motorsports President Bruton Smith has been battling non-Hodgkin's lymphoma since earlier this year. Smith, 88, is the executive chairman of Speedway International, which owns 8 facilities that host 13 of this year's 38 Sprint Cup Series events. So we'll keep Bruton Smith in your prayers. And I had the opportunity to meet Bruton Smith, albeit briefly, in a hotel the last time I was in Bristol. He had walked through the door. There was a dinner at the hotel for him, and he had walked through the door, and of course I recognized him. And I just went over and said hello. He shook my hands, hello, and I said, congratulations on, I knew what he was getting. What's he getting? I said, oh, congratulations. Nice guy. Has been battling NASCAR for many, many years in an event to get additional dates at his speedways. Any racetrack that says Motor Speedway, Bristol Motor Speedway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, are his racetracks. Charlotte Motor Speedway, because that's what he names his track, and it's Speedway Motorsports. And he's been battling NASCAR. He's been buying up some of these racetracks, and sometimes in an event that they have 2 events a year, he takes one away from them to give another one of his racetracks events, and he kind of, does stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, here's a guy that I'll tell you what, that he's what NASCAR needed, International Speedway Corp, which owns the racetracks that NASCAR races on, a lot of them. And you know what, when you have one company, like here on Long Island, PSE&G running your electric, there's nowhere else to go. If you don't like it, light a fire. Well, Bruton Smith made it so NASCAR can't say that to your drivers. You don't like it, go do something else. Once you have competition, once you have somebody else in there, it changes the playing field a little bit. And that's what Bruton Smith did. That's what he did. Let's see. Michael Waltrip. Everybody's heard about Michael Waltrip Racing and what they got going on. Michael Waltrip Racing will cease operations after this season's end in the Sprint Cup Series. Rob Kaufman, who recently purchased Chip Ganassi Racing. He had owned half of Michael Waltrip Racing, and 22 figure eight, you are correct. Recently purchased half of Michael Waltrip Racing in 2007, and what that was, Michael Waltrip was out of money. Rob Kaufman, who's worth a lot of money back in 2007. In fact, Forbes magazine in 2007 had estimated Kaufman's worth at $1.8 billion with a B, $1.8 billion. But presently, Mr. Kaufman is no longer on the Forbes list of billionaires. Just like Junior Johnson said, the best way to end up with $1 million racing is start with $2 million. But anyway, that's not why he left Michael Waltrip Racing. He had hoped that with the talent that they had, the money that they spent, that Michael Waltrip Racing would definitely be a top 5 contender or a championship contender. It's not happening. And Rob Kaufman is a businessman. And yeah, Michael Waltrip is his friend. If you read that book in a blink of an eye, you'll have the whole background on their friendship and how that came to be. But he's a businessman. He wants to win. And Michael Waltrip Racing has not won a race in a couple of years now. And it's one of those things that, you know what, as a businessman, you want to see a return on your investment. And he wasn't seeing it in Michael Waltrip Racing. So Michael Waltrip will continue to field cars in the Xfinity Series, and although on a smaller level, but I think this is good for Rob Kaufman. It's just not good for Michael Waltrip Racing, and I don't think Michael Waltrip has the resources to make this happen on his own. So we'll see what happens with that moving forward. And we're going to be wrapping up soon, real quick. 10 drivers are locked into the postseason spot in the chase already in Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Carl Edwards. Kyle Busch, who was 11th in the points, has to be at the end in the top 30. Must be in the top 30 with his win, so he's still kind of bubblish. Anything can happen there. But Jamie McMurray, who's right there in the bubble, as is Ryan Newman. They're 12th and 13th. They're not locked in yet, as either is Paul Menard, who is 35 points back, Jeff Gordon, who's back, and Clint Boyer, who's also 16th. That's the top 16. That could change. And I'm sorry, Eric Almirola is 35 points back, and Casey Kane is 37 back. So these guys need to keep plugging along. The way Joey Logano is running, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's just going to be one of those things. So anyway, all right, we're going to start wrapping up. I think we're close to time. We got about a minute left. Again, this weekend you got the Himes Museum of Nostalgia, the drivers' reunion, and his birthday. So stop by, wish Marty a happy birthday. And when you get there, kick the fence. And people can say, why you got to kick the fence? Because your hand should be full of what you're bringing to Marty for his museum, or a little donation to the food, because he does this out of his pocket. So just drop by with some stuff for him. I go through my stuff, and I always find something to bring to the museum. So I have a lot of stuff there. But wherever you go and race in the Whelen Modified Tour, we'll be here on Long Island at the Riverhead Raceway. So that's all good. I think I could say that now that there's new owners, but it's a good thing. 29 cars are registered, entered into that event as of right now, so it's all good. So anyway, again, we got a lot of people to pray for recovery, pray for good health. We're going to keep WJ in our prayers as always. He's going through a real tough time. My daughter Erin, she's coming along nice and smooth. We're going to get that thing rebuilt, and if we have to buy a new one, we will get her back racing. So it's let's keep all these people in our prayers. Bruton Smith, hopefully he gets through his stuff as well. Anyway, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being a part of my show tonight. My show is your show. It's all good. Yeah, the figure eight was a little quiet in the chat room without WJ, but. Again, thanks for those of you who did come on tonight and watch and listen. I know a lot of people are watching without going in the chat room tonight. So, again, I want whatever your endeavors, wherever they bring you this week, be safe. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week.